How we looking? Not overthinking. We are not overthinking today, let me tell you. Let's have a chat about overthinking. The art of you creating problems that were never there, all right? Making things 10 times harder than they need to be for yourself. And if you're watching this video, I understand the struggles more than a lot of people with overthinking. It almost stopped me from creating this entire YouTube channel that you're watching now. Almost stopped me from filming this very video. I overthink. Is the lighting good? Is the knowledge going to be valuable? Am I having a good hair day? All the same things that you think about and struggle with. Maybe not the hair day. It's my one thing I overthink all the time. So in this video, I want to give you 5 tips that will really help you stop overthinking. One note before we get rocking here. I think it's important to differentiate between 2 main types of overthinking. Okay, like the first type is where people overthink the past. You're dwelling a lot in things you could have done differently, or you beat yourself up, or you constantly go back and replay conversations. Now that's one type of overthinking that's very valid. However, these tips aren't necessarily talking about that type. What I want to address is probably the more common and chronic form that you experience, you thinking not about your past, but about your future. What will they say? How will I handle it? Is this good enough? How should I approach this? And if you take one thing away from this video, I want it to be this. Overthinking is not a knowledge or information problem. You will never solve your overthinking with more information or more knowledge. You know what will and is the only way to solve your overthinking? Action. These are my 5 best tips about what works. Tip number 1, take how we describe overthinking. I'm thinking too much. My thoughts are fast. Everything is sped up. I'm in my head. It has a very neurotic, fast-paced energy, doesn't it? The only way to change that fast-paced energy is not to do more thinking and more fast-paced and more cramming. The way to get out of it is to slow down. You have to let your nervous system chill out. People label overthinking a lot and they say, well, I just can't get out of my head. I'm overthinking all the time. Maybe I'm chronically anxious. So if you go in and you tell a psychiatrist this, they'll give you anti-anxiety meds, things like Xanax, etc. What does that do? That slows you down. That's why people feel normal on them. 800 days ago when I was drinking all the time, that was the only thing that helped me slow down. And if you know anything about alcohol, it literally numbs your prefrontal cortex. It slows you down so you feel like you're not overthinking. You can relax. What do most people do when they're overthinking? They hide out. They stay in bed and doom scroll, thinking that consuming more information or techniques or tips or just like cramming our brain with more will make us produce more. It doesn't work. It's like fighting fire with fire. It's pouring gasoline on it. Because now instead of your own thoughts, you have the thoughts and opinions of hundreds and thousands of other people. What else do people do? They hype themselves up with just tons of caffeine. Nothing wrong with caffeine. I use it as well. But I've found that when I'm overthinking, the more caffeine I have, the more the neuroticism goes up, right? The faster things speed up. So remember with this tip, we're not trying to do things that speed us up faster, faster, faster. We're actually trying to do the opposites. Instead of fire with fire, fire with water, balancing it out. So what are some examples of these? Going for a long walk. If you went on a walk for an hour and you come back, tell me you don't feel different by the end of that. And I'm not talking you go for a walk and you're cramming a podcast, or an audiobook so you can learn and memorize information and tactic. No, you're just going for a walk for an hour without your phone. Can you even do that? Or is that too unbearable? Breath work, amazing for bringing you out of your head into your body. Meditation, mindfulness. I get up every single morning. The very first thing I do, 15 minutes. Set a timer, put a blindfold on, don't get up for 15 minutes. Those 3 things right there, if you just implemented those 3 for a week, I guarantee your overthinking would be way better. So let's get into this next point for you. Remember that overthinking is an action, not an information problem. And so one of the ways I've been able to get over and beyond overthinking has been to focus on momentum. Because if you know anything about science or what you learned in middle school, an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. So if you can just focus on getting some momentum, watch how the overthinking starts to go away because you're building on wins. When I was first struggling to get started on YouTube, I noticed how hard it was to sit down and film videos. So what I would do is say, I don't have to film a video, but I'm just going to set up the shot. And I found that in setting up the shot, momentum, instead of just staying stuck, that was motivating enough. And I would sit down and say, okay, I'm just going to get the first hook out and I don't have to finish. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't even have to like make a video. I'm just going to set things up, or I'm just going to take my camera out and film around the house for some B-roll shots. I can use them. I don't have to use them. Doesn't matter. So my question to you is, how can you find a way to not view this as either I'm taking action or I'm staying stuck? And if I'm taking action, I have to finish it and it has to be perfect. And you get so in your head. How can you view it as, how can I get momentum? You want to get fit. Can you make momentum just going to the gym, checking in, and doing 5 minutes? Instead of, I have to go to the gym and do this hour-and-a-half long leg destroyer workout that I saw some fitness influencer do. Your momentum is just going to the gym. You want to write that paper and you're overthinking on how to do it. Well, you're probably overthinking, how are these paragraphs going to link together? What's the structure? Is that even the right thing? Do I sound smart? Let me research more. Your momentum, instead of staring at the blank cursor overthinking, is just write the headline. You know, this is something when I write, to get momentum, I don't just sit and read and research and, you know, do the easy thing. I'm like, okay, how can I get momentum here? I start at the most interesting part. Instead of the headline or the first paragraph, I'll start like midway through at the point I'm most excited about. And that gets momentum. And an object in motion stays in motion. And pretty soon, what could have been a day where you procrastinate doing everything, you start to notice that you have momentum to do things. This can also be unrelated, like you just getting momentum by cleaning your house, or washing one dish, or cleaning one section of your room. Doing something that puts you into action is one of the easiest ways to get out of overthinking and start moving. Real quick, if you're someone who's looking to reinvent yourself, create the 2.0 you in 10 weeks, I'll link down below our Metamorphic program. We've helped 850 people just like you go from just, you know, kind of passively watching YouTube videos to really putting in the work and getting the results they want. No pressure, but if you're into that, I'll link down below where you can learn more. Tip number 3, this next one is allowing yourself to suck. Okay, this is not just some BS here. This is something I wrote down. This has been my mantra the last couple weeks. When we overthink, it's normally because we think it has to be perfect and great and amazing, or we have to look a certain way or perform, and it has to be this mind-blowing thing. That all makes us take ourselves too seriously. And that makes us very fragile. And if you look at the people you look up to or who are crushing it, they're anti-fragile, which means no matter what happens, I'll be okay. I'm not gonna die. Because remember, like overthinking puts you in anxiety. It's fight or flight or freeze. Oftentimes it's being frozen by fear, analysis paralysis, literally not moving. And I'm not trying to sound harsh here, but when you're stuck and frozen, you are afraid. Call it what it is. You're afraid that if you take action, it's going to suck. Or people are gonna find out that you're not as smart as you say you are. Or maybe you're gonna get embarrassed or rejected. Those are the fears that keep us thinking. This is just allowing yourself to suck and detaching from how you have to look, from how you have to sound, from how your results have to be. Taking the pressure off yourself, saying, okay, I'm allowed to suck. I'm allowed to mess up. I'm allowed to be human. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. Tip number 4. There was an old Jim Rohn video I was watching. I'll do my best Jim Rohn impersonation for you, okay?
You go up and you get 1 out of 10 sales. You have a 10% close rate. If you go up and you get 2 out of 10 sales, you have 20%.
How was that? Was that rough? What he's getting at is that the more rejection you get, the more success you will eventually get because you improve, you get better. And if you look at who has the most success in dating, people who are willing to shoot their shot, get rejected, in business, people who are willing to put themselves out there, be cringe. It's changing your relationship to rejection. That if I get rejected or something doesn't go my way, it's not going to break you. You're not going to die. Your biggest fear should not be rejection. It should be an action. At the end of your life, you're going to regret not taking action far more than the things you took action on and the times you look stupid or the times you got rejected. For every one person that regrets starting a business, there's 1,000 people who look back on their life, regret not starting one. For every one person who gets rejected in dating, there's 1,000 people who regret not shooting their shot and approaching that person they found attractive or voicing their intentions to someone. So this point is fearing inaction more than action. Fearing staying in paralysis more than failure. Fearing the failure of regrets more than the failure of rejection. More rejection means more success. That's true in dating, that's true in business, that's true in life. Tip number 5. There's 2 primary ways to set goals. The first is results-based. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to make $100,000. I want to get 1 million YouTube subscribers. That's a result. That sets a target and a North Star to move towards. So yeah, that's okay because at least you have a direction. But the downside of that is now that's black or white. Now you hit it or you don't. Now you're a pass or a failure. That can be very demotivating. So what I actually like to do is set that, sure, but also set what are called action goals. These are, instead of I want to lose 10 pounds, I want to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Result goal, I want to get 1 million subscribers. Action goal, I want to upload 5 videos a week no matter what. I want to finish this paper and get an A versus I want to write 100 words a day, 1,000 words a day, whatever it is. What I have found in my life is that when I break it up and I focus on the action, the process, I end up getting way closer to the result. The years where my business did not move a lot is when I was so focused on like manifesting this result, I missed the whole steps to get there, the process part. Huge problem in this industry of just being obsessed with results goals instead of actions and processes. Processes. When you're overthinking, you're trapped in result land. I have to do this and it has to get me that, which is attachment. That whole process is overthinking and attachment to the result. So I think if you're able to step back and flip the script, say, I'm going after a result. What is the process or the action that I can do? That is way more attainable, in your control, and easier for you to do. Literally try it right now. Like take the thing you're overthinking on that you want to do. You just want to make some art. You want to make some badass videos and post them online. People get all in their head with this. They're like, well, okay, I'm going to post and what's my niche? And okay, I got to start a business on this thing and what's my product and who's my ideal avatar? Who's the person I'm talking to? Wipe that clean. Who cares about the results right now? Let's make the action. I just want to upload a video and see if I like it. Yeah, I just want to make 1 video a week and have it as a creative outlet for my voice. Because you know what? We might get into the process of making vids and find out we don't actually like it. So instead of like wasting 3 years before we film 1 video, we might just go there and try it and see if we even like it and save ourselves 3 years of overthinking. I can't tell you how many people I've coached on this. Like instead of going for results, focus on action and process. Now this is the easiest point. This is the mantra. If you're overthinking, I want you to focus on 1 word: simplify. It's an easy thing to make things overcomplicated and complex. The hard thing to do is to make things simple. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. When you're preventing yourself and holding yourself back from doing something, it's because you are attached to it being as good and perfect as possible. Perfection is a very lazy way to live life. It's a lazy thing to be. Like some people take pride in, I overthink because I'm a perfectionist. Other people are fine with slop and, but me, my standards, I'm just so perfect. I'm exaggerating, but that's like, people take pride in that. That is the laziest thing you can be. is being a perfectionist, because that gives you an excuse to not produce much. That gives you an excuse to take your sweet time. That gives you an excuse to second guess and question everything, and also judge other people. My standards are better than that. Look at that. Can you believe he posted that? Can you believe how cringe that is? I also find that perfectionists are some of the most judgmental people. You ever notice that? They're projecting their own judgments that they put on their work onto other people. Instead of being a perfectionist, be a doer. There's a saying, done is better than perfect, because perfect never gets done. A great example is going in for an interview. Like, if you over prepare for an interview, you ever done that? And you show up to the interview and it's like dry mouth, or you're like already tired talking about it. It sucks all the humanness out of you if you over prepare. At the end of the day, no one cares how much time and thought you put into something. They only care about the results and the product. A note to myself here that I'll put in here. This is my intention with this year, is like, I overthink the hell out of these videos because I want them to be valuable. I really do. Like, I don't want people to click on a video and feel like it's, I don't know, I think it comes from me really respecting your time. And that if I'm going to post and people are going to spend 15, 20 minutes, however long, I want them to walk away with something. But as I've thought about this and shifted my approach and thought about the content I watch that impacts me the most, it's not always just this like regurgitated, overthought, like ChatGPT download of information to someone. Just like vomiting just like 20 steps onto them. Productivity, okay, there's 15 things we can know to be productive. Make it stop. And I find myself clicking off of those videos. I don't know if you do, but like, I find myself walking away from that type of content tired, because it causes you to overthink. And it's almost like seeking out the solutions to our problems is making them worse. This year, I'm really trying to be more about the energy and the emotional value. So instead of just logical value, that's one form. It's more about the connection and more just about the vibe. And my point here for throwing this in here is, when I overthink and I make something about just value and I just say, okay, like, what's the brain dump download? Ruins the whole thing. But when I'm able to just sit down and create from the heart and get in a flow state, and that takes a while, that can take 15, 30 minutes. But like, when it's finally there and you're connecting with people and you're vibing, that's the stuff that people crave and want, at least in my opinion, and that's how I consume now. Now, I'm curious. I've given you a lot of my advice for overthinking, but you all have some banger quotes and one-liners. I want you to post your best piece of advice in the comments below for overthinking. What do you do? What have you learned from your experience? Not what you've heard, but like what actually works for you. Post that in the comment below in as short or concise way as possible, so we can just like fill this comment thread with awesome advice. Like, subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for being here. I'll link up right here 5 questions that you can ask if you're into introspection to coach yourself. It's a perfect follow-up to this. I'll see you in the next video. Stop settling, start living. Bye.